Okay guys, welcome back to Robert's Co. Welcome back to London, another live joy making session. Tonight we're still working on our gold, 9 carat yellow gold ingot that we melted and poured a couple of days ago in a live stream. Yesterday we peened this. I've lost count now. This is either the 5th or 6th time I've peened this ingot. So yeah, that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to peen this again. Now, there's not too much information available. This whole process, there's not a great deal of information available in books or online. There's quite a lot of videos of people doing it, like on the social media platforms of people melting the various precious metal alloys to make jewellery, pouring them into ingot moulds, and then ta-da, a piece of jewellery. There's no way that they're getting, the way they're doing it, because we had a lot of issues with the quenching process, particularly on sterling silver. If you quench sterling silver, it cracks. If you quench it red hot, a lot of people are doing, so there's absolutely no way that they're getting usable metal. They will get they'll get mostly usable metal, but they'll also get a considerable amount of cracked scrap. So yeah, no books really cover the hand pouring process. There's no point asking bullion dealers, because when they're making wire and sheet, what I've seen a lot of them do, they will get actually moulds like so. I mean, they're doing it on an industrial process. I've seen one of our bullion dealers, they will get a graphite ingot mould like this, but with a lid. They'll then put the grain in it with a lid on, and then it goes through an industrial site, almost, see what it looks like, a pizza. If you remember what a friend of mine worked in a Pizza Hut over the road when we was kids, and they had like these tractor fed pizza ovens. You put the pizza in one end and it was timed so that it would come out the other end cooked. They have that oven, but obviously 1,000 degrees. They've got basically a very hot pizza oven. They roll the graphite with the precious metals in, and it comes out obviously perfect. We don't have that, so we're melting with a Smith's little torch, pouring into ingot mould. And I think we get issues that bullion dealers don't necessarily get. They've probably got other issues to overcome, but different ones. So yeah, most people, when I see the most of the time you see the peening process discussed, you can skip it. It's what most people's opinion seems to be. Again, there's so little information in books and online. We're still experimenting with. Where did I put the hammer? I just had the hammer, didn't I? Where's the crossing hammer gone? I just had it. Oh, there it is. Right. So the peening. I think peening is more important with flat sheet than with wire. What happens with flat sheet, if you don't peen it, you get really bad cracks. Regardless of the quenching process, you get cracking along the edge when you're rolling it out, and what the peening process seems to do is reduce, and those cracks then sort of start to slowly creep into and you get less usable metal. With flat sheet, peening seems to drastically reduce the amount of cracking along the edges when you're rolling it out. I'm not sure if it works, not sure what it's doing to the wire ingots, but it's definitely helping. But again, because there's no info, I don't know how much we're supposed to do. What I'm doing with this is the edges of these are quite rounded when they're poured, especially on the top. It's almost like a sort of artisanal bakery's loaf of bread. So the bottom and the sides, where they're in contact with the square ingot mould, are relatively squared off. They're still slightly rounded, but the top is basically domed. And what I do is I peen it until all 4 edges are squared off. So the whole thing is kind of peened. And what I'll do is what I need to do with this, which I haven't done, is I'm going to go and do that now quickly, is we put it in the flattening press and just tap the ends to get the ends done as well. I'm going to do that. The flattening press is next door. Right, go, that's the enzyme. Yeah, what peening does seem to do is reduce cracking. And where the cracking normally appears when you're making wire is on the octagonal edges that the rolling mill creates. If cracking is going to appear, that's where it appears. That's why I take it back to the squared off. So we're actually, because if you don't do it, if you only do it once, because it only reduces about 0.4 of a mil every time, you're not actually peening all of those edges. And all peening is a series of small hammer blows. Do. Now we need to anneal that. With the this is 9 carat gold. With the gold, once I've annealed it, I do actually quench the gold, but I wait for it to cool a bit. I don't quench it red hot. With the silver, ingots. With the silver, I don't quench the silver, but if you quench silver ingots, it takes on board water. And when you start rolling it out, it's like wringing out a sponge. And then obviously where those gaps are that the water's coming out, you get porosity and cracking. But again, everyone on social media, as soon as they've melted the silver, they're dunking it in water. So that's why I'm saying they're definitely not getting usable metal doing that. Some usable metal, most usable metal, but not all of it. With the gold, I think it's the opposite. You actually need to, not necessarily red hot, but you do need to cool it rapidly. I think there is a process of cooling gold slowly where it actually becomes brittle and hard. I think that's the problem with a lot of this, the information available. It's kind of nuanced to the different alloys. The different alloys need slightly different heat treatment and slightly different processes. And people just treat them all the same. Soldering's different. Effectively, I pretty much quench everything after soldering because that's the way we've done it. Probably not Now we're making ingots, probably not the best, but because I'm using cold pickle, I end up putting it in the pickle quite hot because it speeds up the process of cleaning. But I suppose in theory we should be either, I'm kind of working on this thing of cold quenching using the steel blocks as a heat sink, but I guess we should be doing that for soldering as well. But quenching after soldering hasn't caused us any issues. You know, the decades we've been doing it, quenching ingots has. Again, with the annealing process, from what I've read, you need to do the heating slightly differently as well. With silver, I've read that you just heat it up pretty quickly and then cool it down rapidly. But whereas gold benefits, apparently, I don't know which, it's got to be different for the different alloys, whereas gold apparently benefits from what they call a heat soak, where you hold it at the high temperature for a little while. For doing it in furnaces, like the way the bullion dealers do it, there are specified times and specified temperatures, but we don't have that luxury. Sort of gauging the temperature by the colour. So right, I'll let that, you can probably make out that is red hot. Obviously being an alloy, this probably does contain silver and copper, gold, silver, copper. So I'll just let that cool down a little bit before we quench it in water. I've read that you can use alcohol if you're having issues with water as well, which apparently irons out some issues with quenching. But yeah, quenching anything red hot does seem to cause issues. This will be the last. That's going to be the last time I peen that. The next step for this is going through the rolling mills. And it's quite a slow process. The first few rolls, you're really just putting 8 sides on it, so it's putting the octagonal edges on it, and it's kind of rectangular at the moment, so it squares it off. And that'll probably be the first 3 or 4 passes with annealing in between, and then you start reducing it in size. And again, it's probably only 0.4, 0.5 mil at a time. So obviously, the further down the process you get, the greater, you know, when this is 7 mil, it's a small percentage, but once you're getting down to 2 mil, you're moving at a greater percentage. Right, that should be fine. Bingo. And then in the pickle, that is it. That is peening and annealing a 9 carat gold ingot. Right, I'll see you in the next one. Toodles.